It just might be the greatest sports franchise in the history of sports. A place where legends are made, and there's always something to talk about. Get ready to immerse yourself in pinstripes. Start Spreading the News, hosted by Paul Semendinger and E.J. Fagan, a couple of doctors with a prescription for Yankee fever. And now, here's Dr. Paul Semendinger and Dr. E.J. Fagan. Get ready to start spreading the news.
All right, my friends, it's Dr. Paul Semendinger without Dr. E.J. Fagan. Here we are at the beach. The Yankees, the gutty, gritty, amazing Yankees have now won 2 straight games in their last at-bats. Yesterday, Sunday, Aaron Judge broke a 0-0 tie in the bottom of the 9th with a game-winning walk-off 2-run home run. That propelled the Yankees to a split with the Tampa Bay Rays. They then headed off to Kansas City. And in a back-and-forth game, the Yankees were losing heading into the top of the 9th. And the much-despised Anthony Volpe hit a 2-run single to put the Yankees ahead with the lead they would not relinquish. David Bednar came in and nailed down the save. And the Yankees have now won 2 games in a row in exciting fashion. So this is good news for Yankee fans. A reminder that this show is part of the very best Yankees site on the internet. Start Spreading the News. Visit us at startspreadingthenews.blog. We put up new articles every single day at 6 a.m., 10 a.m., and 2 p.m. If there is an afternoon or early evening game, the game thread takes the place often of the 2 p.m. article. But if there's a night game, you get a 4th article because you get the game thread that you can, of course, participate in. Nobody else does Yankees coverage as well as us. And a reminder that this program is brought to you by Artemisia Publishing. Artemisia is a traditional publisher located in the good old United States of America, and they publish a plethora of great books in a plethora of genres. Many, 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 many great books, including a whole host written by me, such as The Least Among Them. That book is about the 29 players whose entire major league career consisted of just one day in the major leagues, one game as a Yankee. Of course, the great Roy White's autobiography, From Compton to the Bronx. The highly motivational 365.2 Going the Distance, A Runner's Journey. If you have a task and you don't think you can do it, read this book. This will motivate you to achieve at your highest levels. Of course, they also publish the greatest novel ever written, Scattering the Ashes. If you have not read Scattering the Ashes, your life is incomplete. Complete your life. Make your life one that is full in every way. If you've read Melville, if you've read Faulkner, if you've read Hemingway, if you've read Fitzgerald, if you've read Twain and Dickens, all of them, they would all say, if they read Scattering the Ashes, that it's a better book. They just would. It is the greatest novel ever written. And if it's not, well, maybe it's close. And of course, my newest Yankee book, which needs a new graphic, The Greatest New York Yankees by Uniform Number, a book that everyone is saying is delightful. If you didn't catch the Dr. Sem Yankee show on Saturday, I ran down just one of the numbers in that book, number 36. I read some passages, some paragraphs from the book to show you how fun it is with just a random number. Who was the greatest Yankee wearing number 36? The debate came down to a Hall of Famer versus a close but probably not Hall of Famer. Who was the greatest Yankee in number 36? Was it Johnny Mize, the Hall of Famer, or the great pitcher, David Cone? Well, go back to watch that episode. Go to Start Spreading the News, and you can see the article that talks all about it. So we talk about this a lot. When the Yankees win, we're excited. Everything looks good. You say, you know what? Things are looking great. Things are looking terrific. Everybody's happy. This is one of the joys of the 162-game season. Your emotions go up when the team wins. They go down when the team loses. One of the knocks on the Yankees is that they haven't been clutch, that they don't seem to have resiliency. But these last two games, whether they prove anything or not long-term, show that the Yankees have some spunk in them. At least they do right at the moment, winning 2 games in their last at-bats, one in the bottom of the 9th on Sunday and one in the top of the 9th earlier today on Monday. So very, very, very exciting stuff for the Yankees. They got another great pitching performance from their starting pitching. So if we look at the Yankees, the starting pitching seems very, very strong. You know, Garrett Cole came out, had a great first game. I was one of the people who said we cannot count on Cole being very effective early on. I said the same thing about Carlos Rodon. I've been basically right about Rodon. But whenever a player comes back from an injury, a pitcher, you say, I'm not sure how effective he's going to be. It usually takes you a little while to build up. Cole was really terrific. Yesterday, Ryan Weathers was really terrific. Today, Will Warren was really terrific. Cam Schlittler's been terrific all year long, and he was terrific ever since he came up last year. So, boy, oh boy, the Yankees starting rotation looks great. When they were winning earlier this season, I said, if the starting rotation can be this good, well, that's how you win short series at the end of the season. Now, there's a long way to go. It's not even June yet, but a great starting rotation can cover up a lot of flaws, especially in the postseason. One of the flaws, of course, is the bullpen, which is erratic at best. Another flaw is the fact that Anthony Volpe looks like he's going to be the starting shortstop, and he's just not that good. Or maybe we should say he just hasn't been that good. Maybe the truth is he's figuring it out. Probably not. There's a lot of doubt about Anthony Volpe, but he did come through today with a big hit in the top of the 9th to drive home 2 runs. He then made a pretty good defensive play in the bottom of the inning to get one of the 3 outs on a ground ball. He had to sort of smother it and pick it up and throw. It's the type of play you almost expect him to botch. So maybe, just maybe, this again is why we love baseball, because when the Yankees win, everything looks great. We're flying high. Everything looks good. Anthony Volpe's making great plays. He's getting clutch hits. Jazz Chisholm has been on fire. You know, he's gotten a lot of bad words written about him, a lot of negative press when he wasn't hitting and he got off to such a slow start. But he's really been doing great. He had a big hit to help set up that big hit by Volpe. He had a double, and that double made runners on second and third, so Volpe could drive them both home with the single. So great stuff going on for the Yankees. But as good as Volpe is, There's a rumor out there. I wrote a great article about it that was published earlier today. There's a rumor. I can't imagine it's true. Why would the Royals do this? But there's a rumor that Bobby Witt Jr. is available. And if Bobby Witt Jr. is available, the Yankees have to. They have to get him. Anthony Volpe at his greatest is never going to be Bobby Witt Jr. Who led the American League in hits 2 years ago? That was Bobby Witt Jr. Who led the American League in hits last year? That was Bobby Witt Jr. Who's leading the American League in hits this year? That's Bobby Witt Jr. Who hit the home run to put the Royals ahead in the game they almost won today? That was Bobby Witt Jr. Now, there's a lot of fans out there that just love prospects. I am of the mind, and I think I've convinced most people, because when I first started saying like this, I got a lot of pushback. People argued with me up one side and down the other. And they said, no, you can never get rid of your best prospects. I've always been a believer that you do get rid of your best prospects if those prospects can get you a proven young major league star. Bobby Witt is a proven young major league star. So if he's available, you would go and get him. That would be the guy to get, because Bobby Witt is one of the best players in the game today, and he's only 26, and he's signed to a very reasonable long-term contract. He solves the Yankees' leadoff hitter problem. He solves the Yankees' shortstop problem. He is a great player. And I believe if you have minor league talent, those are players with potential. They are might be's. They are could be's. Bobby Witt is yes, he is. Bobby Witt is a proven major league player, a proven major league star. So if he is available, you absolutely trade the young talent. And I know there's people out there saying George Lombard might be great someday. He's going to be great, and he might be. He's not going to be Bobby Witt Jr. The high on any of these prospects is Bobby Witt Jr. So why not trade them to get the guy that they might, in the best chance, be? Go get the sure thing. Now, when I make comments like this, and on the blog today, Start Spreading the News, a lot of people wrote in and didn't disagree with me. I was expecting lots of disagreement. Oh, Dr. Seb, you can't get rid of these guys. No. They're going to be superstars. But most people aren't saying that. Most people are agreeing, which maybe they finally get it. Trade potential for the sure thing always. You don't trade young talent for mediocrity. That's a bad way to do it. But if a great young player is available, you trade him. And I ask you to go to Start Spreading the News and check out that article, because I go through all of the Yankees' top prospects since 2011. And the only one who really became a superstar since 2011 is Aaron Judge. The top five, if the Yankees got rid of their top five guys in 2011, for whoever the Bobby Witt of that year might have been, you would have traded Jesus Montero, Gary Sanchez, Manny Banuelos, Dellin Betances, and Austin Romine. Now, Gary Sanchez had a couple of good years, and Dellin Betances was a very good setup man for the Yankees. You might even say great. But wouldn't you trade that group of five guys for Bobby Witt Jr., the equivalent in 2011? Also, none of those players even had an impact on the Yankees until Betances 3 years later in 2014. The 2011 Yankees won 97 games and were eliminated in the playoffs by the Tigers. Now, don't you think that if they had one more superstar, a guy at the equivalent of Bobby Witt, they probably would have beaten the Tigers? They might have won another World Series. Then you go to 2012. And let's assume that those guys had been traded. So you lost Banuelos and Betances and Sanchez. The next best Yankee prospects, these are the guys people were raving about now. These were the guys who everybody said, don't touch them. That's the next great wave. Jose Campos, Slade Heathcott, Mason Williams, Dante Pichette Jr., and Cito Culver. You see where this is going? The top 5 in 2013, Tyler Austin, Ty Hensley, Angelo Gums, Mark Montgomery, and Zolio Almonte. And somewhere along the line, people will say, like, but you'd get rid of Aaron Judge. Well, in my article, I come up with about 70 names, the 70 top prospects, top 5 prospects or thereabout since 2011. And only one of them became a star. So imagine if you traded your top 5 prospects every single year for a star. How many stars would you have had? 2011, 2012, 2013, 2014, 2015, 2016, 2017. You get the idea. You would have lost Aaron Judge. I'd argue that it's terrible to lose Aaron Judge. But if you're losing Aaron Judge in a scheme or a plan that nets you a great player every year, that's the price you have to sometimes pay, right? I don't want Aaron Judge. Wouldn't have wanted him to be on any other team. But 2016, oh, you can't touch any of these guys. James Capriellin, Wilkerman Garcia, Dustin Fowler, Domingo Acevedo, and Tyler Wade. Those are your top 5. I mean, it just goes on and on. 2018, Esteban Florial, Miguel Andujar, Albert Abreu, Luis Medina, and Frazier Perez. Fans get so attached to the next great Yankee minor leaguer that they almost lose rationality sometimes. Get rid of the would-be, the could-be, and get the sure thing. That's why I think the Yankees, if they have a chance to go get Bobby Witt, they absolutely, positively should get him. All right. Let me also tell you about another publisher. The publisher is Sunbury Press. You can visit them at sunburypress.com. And they have the first of my 3 great Civil War books that are out there. West Point at Gettysburg, Volume 1. That one is published already. It's letters A through G. Volume 2 is in the works. Those are letters H through N. And Volume 3, West Point at Gettysburg, is O through Z. Again, you can get all of those. Well, only the first one, but you'll eventually be able to get all of them at sunburypress.com. West Point at Gettysburg, fantastic books. I recommend, or at least the first one, I recommend you go check them out at Sunbury Press. They also have a huge selection of great books. So here's another interesting topic that we delved into on Start Spreading the News the other day. And this is one that's actually caused a little bit of controversy. One of our great writers, James Valestra, is running this series where he's looking at about 100 different former players and people associated with the Yankees and trying to determine whether or not they belong in the Hall of Fame. One thing the Hall of Fame has never done is bring in great coaches. There are owners, there are players, there are executives, there are managers. There's even Marvin Miller, a player agent, or I guess that's what you'd call him, the head of the players union, right? Like he changed the game. But they've never inducted coaches. And there have been a slew of very influential coaches, guys who never really managed, or maybe they weren't even great managers, but they were part of the game for decades. And the guy that James Valestra brought up was Don Zimmer, who was a baseball lifer for over 60 years. He was part of the thread of the game. And some people say you shouldn't elect a guy like Don Zimmer. It's laughable. He was never a manager that won anything, at least. He managed some teams. They never won anything. But he was a great coach when he was a coach on the Yankees. He was Joe Torre's right-hand man. And again, he was a baseball lifer. He spent 60 years in the game. At some point, do people like that who form the very fabric of baseball deserve enshrinement in the Hall of Fame? And maybe Don Zimmer is an extreme example because he doesn't have the greatest resume. But what about a guy who coached on the Yankees for a gazillion years and as a player and a coach combined has more World Series rings than anybody? Frank Crosetti, who was a Yankee coach, as we say, for a long time, decades. Does that resume deserve inclusion in the Hall of Fame? Or what about the great hitting coaches like Charlie Lau? Or what about great pitching coaches like Johnny Sain or Leo Mazzoni? I think at some times, though some people laugh this off, that people will look at the history of the game and say, you know, I think there is a place in the Hall of Fame for the great coaches, the people who really added to baseball, not just for a short period of time, but maybe because they came up with a hitting philosophy like Charlie Lau, or maybe they were exceptional pitching coaches like Leo Mazzoni and Johnny Sain, or maybe they were part of a plethora of championships like Frank Crosetti, or maybe, just maybe, they were someone who was part of the game for 60 years like Don Zimmer. So I think there will come a time when coaches go in because I think their influence and impact on the game is important to recognize. That's not going to be as exciting as when they induct certain great players in. And as I'm talking, I'm even realizing that there's umpires in the Hall of Fame. I mean, if an umpire can be in the Hall of Fame, can't a coach? Right? There was a time when I wanted the Hall of Fame to be tiny and it was, just the greats of the game. But as they've elected so many borderline players, guys who are not legends of the game, guys who have pretty good stats, guys who were somewhat pretty good players, some of who weren't even all-stars all that often. Once you start watering the Hall of Fame down and saying these guys are legitimate Hall of Famers because they're in, well, then you have to say, well, since we're expanding this thing, let's keep putting in worthy players. Along those same lines, I think it's time for the Baseball Hall of Fame to bring in the great players from other countries. What does it hurt the Baseball Hall of Fame to have Sadahara Oh, the greatest home run hitter in Japan, in the Baseball Hall of Fame? What would it hurt the Baseball Hall of Fame then to have Hideki Matsui in there, who hit over 500 home runs between Japan and America? How many great hitters have played in Japan, came from Japan, and were very good or great in America? There's only two to date who did it over a long period of time, and that's Ichiro and Hideki Matsui. That's a rare feat. So why not enshrine them? Like, if people go to the Hall of Fame, they go there to learn about players who added to the story of baseball, who added to the history of the game, just like some great coaches did. So I would say open up the Hall of Fame doors to coaches. There's other people who didn't lead who are in there. So why not some coaches who also significantly impacted the game? And then why not some great Japanese players as well? All right, my friends, a quick show today, just about a little under a half an hour. This is the Start Spreading the News Yankee Show. Remember that Memorial Day is a day to honor those who gave their lives in the service of this country so that you can enjoy the freedoms that you enjoy. On this Memorial Day, take a moment to remember those people who sacrificed for you. Remember them in your hearts and remember them in your prayers. Have a great day. Let's go, Yankees. Maybe they're on a roll. Maybe good things are happening. We can only hope. This has been the Start Spreading the News Yankee Show. Have yourselves a wonderful and great and terrific